Hello lovelies. So today's class is easing into backbends. We will peak with wheel pose, nothing too crazy. We do need at least 2 blocks. If you have a third block or just any object even remotely similar to a block, that's even better because we will be starting on our backs, kind of opening up the chest from the get-go. The first block is going to be at its tallest setting, and you will place it at the low ribs. So you find the low ribs, draw all the way to the back, and then that's where you place your first block. The second block will be on the medium setting, and it goes right under the head. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, finding those low floating ribs, drawing to the back, and then placing that block right under you. If this is too intense, you can always opt for lower options, so you can go medium instead. And then the head would just be on low. But for a little more opening, it's better to go a little bit higher. We'll be taking a few moments just finding our breath in this position. Knees can always be brought in towards the body or extended out long, whichever feels better. Sometimes in any sort of heart opening or back bending, it's a little bit difficult to breathe. So focusing on that breath and really constricting through the back of the throat can help quite a bit. Just a few more rounds of breath in through the nose and out through the nose. After your last round of breath, the right hand is going to come to the side of the block. The fingertips may or may not touch. That's okay. We're not actually going for touching. We're going for drawing the elbow in towards the head. So from this position, your arm is probably splaying out to the side. That's okay. You'll take the left fingertips and start to draw that elbow in towards center. Taking a few more breaths here. One more round of breath. Go ahead and release that elbow. Start to draw that left hand towards the block. This time, right fingertips, draw left elbow in towards center. One more round of breath. Go ahead and release. And if you were like me and forgot to keep your third object close, go ahead and grab it. Come back into your heart opening position. If you didn't already have the heels in towards the sit bones, go ahead and draw them in now. Either with or without that third object. Hands come towards the thighs, arms are extended out long. On an inhale, arms reach up overhead, try to tap the floor, come as close as you can. And now move at your own pace to the thighs, up overhead, as quick or as slow as feels good in your body. And on your next one, you're actually going to extend the arms up overhead and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hands come back towards the thighs. Go ahead and release that object off to the side. And when you're ready, roll off to either side. You're not going to lift yourself up, just go ahead and roll. Give yourself a moment in this sort of lifted fetal position. You probably feel a lot of changes in that back body right now. That's okay. When you're ready, assist yourself into a seated position, preferably Sukhasana, so easy pose, one foot in front of the other. Nice long spine, crown of the head reaching towards the ceiling. Shoulders are drawing down the back. On an inhale, arms come up overhead. On an exhale, side bend over to the right, making sure that the left sit bones don't lift up off of the mat. Inhale back through to center, and on an exhale, side bend over to the left. Again, making sure that those sit bones don't pop up off the mat. Coming back through to center. On an exhale, twisting over to the right, looking over right shoulder. Inhale through to center, and on an exhale, twisting over to the left, looking over that left shoulder. Inhale back through to center. Hands temporarily come to the knees. This time switch the cross of the legs. This side might feel a little odd. When you're ready, hands come behind the back, clasping fingers. If you can't do that, you can always grab onto a piece of fabric or just having the arms behind you. On an inhale, open up that chest. And on an exhale, forward fold. Hands may or may not leave the back. Maybe you don't forward fold. That's okay. When you're ready, release the hands, sit up, nice long spine one last time. When you're ready, come into tabletop position. Shoulders are over the wrists. Hips are over the knees, and tops of the feet are flat into the floor. One long line from the crown of the head to the tip of the tailbone. On an inhale, tuck those toes and hover the knees up off of the mat about an inch. And we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release. Tops of the feet come back to the floor. Maybe give yourself a little wiggle. On your next inhale, right arm comes forward, left leg goes back. Toes are pointed towards the mat. You can always take a look back. And we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release. On your next inhale, left arm forward, right leg back. And we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Tucking the toes again. Hovering the knees about an inch for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Give yourself a little wiggle. And when you're ready, on your next inhale, right arm forward, left leg back. Start to bend that right heel in towards the sit bones. Right arm comes back for the inside of that foot. Gaze starts to lift. As you do that, push the foot into the hand, finding your swan pose. And holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And release back to tabletop. On your next inhale, left arm forward, right leg back. Once you've found your balance, that right heel starts to come in towards the sit bones. Left arm comes for the inside of that foot. Gaze starts to lift, and then press that foot into the hand. Find your swan pose for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release back to tabletop. Knees come mat's distance, toes to touch. Press the hips back for a child's pose. On your next inhale, tent the fingertips. Lift the head, and left arm is going to thread under the right for thread the needle. Looking under the right tricep and breathing. If it's in your practice, you can find a half bind, so right hand comes around the low back and maybe you find that left hip crease. Or maybe you just find a piece of fabric. And when you're ready, unwinding that right arm, sitting up to release the left. Tent those fingertips once again, and this time right arm under the left for thread the needle. If you did it on the first side, left fingertips come around that low back and try to find that right hip crease or a piece of fabric to open that shoulder up. When you're ready, release the half bind. Start to sit up and walk the fingers back into a seated position, coming back into your tabletop pose. Just a little bit of wrist love before we really get started. So start to rock from front to back. sort of breaking that plane. Shoulders are coming past the wrists. When you're ready, fingertips are turning out towards the sides of the mat, and you can either rock from side to side, or if it feels okay, you can do half circles. When you're ready, point the fingertips back towards the thighs. This can be a little intense, so maybe you stay right here, or if it feels okay, tuck those toes and start to rock the hips back towards the heels. Your palms will lift up a bit off the mat. You do want to feel a stretching sensation, but if you feel anything sharp or jolting, stabbing, anything unusual, anything that's really electric, back off. Maybe go to a previous stretch. And for the last one, palms face up, fingertips face each other. Elbow creases come forward, and then do sort of a mini push-up. There's not a lot of weight on the wrist. We're just trying to get a little bit of mobility in the shoulders and the elbows and in the wrists. And when you're ready, return to your neutral tabletop position. Tuck those toes, hips come up towards the ceiling, find your downward facing dog. You may have to step back a little bit just to find the proper length in your dog. Gaze is back towards the toes. Feel free to really pedal out this dog, so bending one knee, straightening the other. Wherever you're at, find stillness in your downward facing dog for about 2 cycles of breath. On an inhale, right leg comes up towards the ceiling for 3-legged dog. And start to bend that knee, bring it in towards the nose, and plant the foot between the hands. If you have to assist it there, that is okay. Drop that back knee for Anjayanasana. On an inhale, rise all the way up. Now we're looking for a bit of a stretch in our hip flexors. So go ahead and really dive deep into this position. If you need your hands on some blocks, that's okay. It may feel a little bit intense. Arms can be up overhead or maybe hands to heart center. On your next exhale, plant the hands and draw the right toes back towards the face. Inhale for a halfway lift and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come forward and start to wiggle that right foot out towards the edge of the mat. Toes can either be straight or angled. If you're going to open up the hip a little bit, you might have them angled and you'll kind of turn onto that knife edge of the foot. Wherever you're at, maybe you can come down a little further. Maybe you can come down onto the forearms or some blocks. Just really trying to open up the hip flexors and the quads. If you're really open, you may come all the way down to the mat. And when you're ready, start to walk the hands back under the shoulders if they weren't already. Plant that foot and start to lift the left toes up off of the mat, reaching back with the left hand on the inside of the foot. You should feel really deep stretch in the quads and the hip flexors. And if at any point you fall out of it, just come right back to it. It's no problem. When you're ready, release that foot, plant the hands, and start to wiggle the left foot over towards the left ankle and find a half pigeon. On an inhale, really find some length, lifting that crown of the head all the way up towards the ceiling. And on an exhale, walk yourself forward, either to the forearms or lowering all the way. That back foot, if you feel it sort of turning in at a weird curve, try to really plant it into the mat. Try to straighten it out. And when you're ready, plant the hands, tuck those back toes, find a three-legged dog. Go ahead and shake it out however you need to. Maybe do some circles. And when you're ready, right foot meets the left. Downward facing dog. On an inhale, the left leg reaches up towards the sky, three-legged dog. Start to bring that knee in towards the nose, cat that spine, place the foot between the hands, and lower the back knee for Anjayanasana. So inhale, arms come up. And on an exhale, maybe sink into that front leg, really stretching and opening through the hip flexors and right quad. On your next exhale, hands plant. Draw the left toes back towards the face for half splits. On an inhale, find a nice halfway lift, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come forward. Start to wiggle that left foot out towards the edge of the mat. Again, foot can be straight or slightly angled. If you're opening up that hip, it's better to have a slight angle and come onto that knife edge. Maybe you start to release towards the mat, coming onto the elbows, blocks, or maybe all the way down. When you're ready, come back up if you weren't already. Shoulders again over the wrists. Plant that left foot if it wasn't already, and start to lift the right toes up off of the mat, reaching back with the right hand for the inside of the foot. Gaze can be wherever feels okay in your body. So maybe you're looking back at the foot, maybe you're not. On your next exhale, go ahead and release the foot. Start to wiggle left ankle towards right wrist, finding your half pigeon. Really finding some length in that spine, crown of the head coming towards the ceiling. And exhale, lower as deep as feels okay in your body. Again, that back foot is not just some limp noodle. You really want to plant it into the floor, making sure that it's straight. You can always peek back if you're not sure. When you're ready, walk the hands back, planting them. Tuck the back toes. Find your three-legged dog. Again, wiggling out, maybe finding stillness, whatever feels good in your body, whatever you need to release. Left foot meets the right, three-legged dog. On an inhale, look forward, walk to the front of your mat. Find a slightly wider stance than hips width and start to forward fold into a bit of a rag doll. You can clasp opposite hand to opposite elbow and maybe rock or sway from side to side. When you're ready, plant the hands, bring the feet back to hips distance, and on an inhale, rise up with a nice long spine to tall mountain pose. From here, start to find length, start to grow, and find a slight back bend through the upper back. So don't just dump back, actually find that length and start to come back. On an exhale, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back plank, and lower all the way to the floor. Hands under the shoulders, elbows drawing in. On an inhale, find a low cobra, really planting those feet into the ground. On your next inhale, lift the hands up off of the mat and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release. Maybe wiggle the hips from side to side. This time, tent the fingers, bring them a little bit forward of the shoulders and about mat's distance. On an inhale, find your cobra. If this is feeling a little wonky on the low back, spread the legs. It'll help ease a little bit of that discomfort, or maybe you just back off on how high you come. Wherever you're at, exhale, lower all the way. Plant the hands under the shoulders, tuck the toes. Inhale to plank, and exhale, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, look forward and hop to a seat. Finding your easy pose, so one foot in front of the other. Hold on to your shins, and on an inhale, chest comes forward. On an exhale, round the spine. You're going for a camel ride, so inhale forward, exhale round. And go at your own pace. So maybe you want fast, maybe you want slow, but really exaggerate it as much as you can. Go for 2 more rounds. And when you're ready, plant the hands and come onto the shins. If this feels uncomfortable, you can always grab a block, place it under the sit bones, and sit like this. It'll ease a little bit of the knees. Whenever you're ready, come forward onto the shins. Hip points are drawing forward. Hands come to the low back, fingertips pointing down. Elbows are drawing in. On your next inhale, really draw that chest up towards the ceiling and maybe find a light back bend. Nothing too deep. Come back to your seat. This time, when you come up, right foot comes out to the side, knife edge is parallel to the mat. And on an inhale, arms come up, left hand reaches back and bend. If you can't reach your heel, you can always take that block, reach back for the block, and find a slight back bend. Coming back up through center. Right meets the left. And now for the other side. So left foot comes out, knife edge is parallel to the mat edge. If you needed that block on the first side, you'll probably want it for the second side. So inhale, arms come up, right hand comes back to the block or the heel. Hips are coming forward. Come back to your starting point. Come back to a seat. And take just a moment to roll the shoulders. First rolling them back, really drawing them up towards the ears and then down towards the spine. And then the opposite, so rolling them forward. And when you're ready, cross over the shins and come to a seat. Just a quick bit of core work before coming onto the back for bridge and wheel pose. So chest is really drawing up towards the ceiling. You can stay right here, or if you're feeling like you could go for a little more, shins come parallel to the mat and arms can come forward, or you can always assist yourself by having them on the backs of the thighs, whatever feels good for you right now. From here, tap right, tap left, tap right toes, tap left toes. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now go from high boat to low boat and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back up, plant the feet, give yourself a bit of a hug. And the last little bit of core, arms come forward, nice long spine, and lower as slowly as you can to the mat. When you feel like you're about to fall, try to hold it, try to go as slowly as you can, like you're going through honey, and release. Give yourself a little wiggle, a little shake, maybe rub the belly. And when you're ready, heels come in towards the sit bones. Plant the hands along the sides. Maybe even start by tucking the shoulders under a little bit so you'll feel your chest come up off the floor. And when you're ready, press into the feet and start to lift the hip bones towards the ceiling for bridge pose. You want your feet and your thighs parallel, so actively draw them in together. You don't want them splaying out. And holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release upper, middle, and lower. Now your option, you can either stick with another bridge or you can go into wheel pose. Whichever you choose is fine. We're not going to stay there too horribly long. If you're choosing to do wheel with me, bringing the hands up by the ears, fingertips point towards the shoulders. This is where that beginning practice came in. So elbows are drawing in together, nice and parallel. Start by actually tucking the tailbone. So you want your back completely flat to the floor while starting. Feet are again parallel to one another. You're already drawing the thighs together. And on an inhale, press into the mat, come to the crown of the head. Pause just a moment. When you're ready, adjust, inhale, lift, press everything up and away from the mat. Gaze can be wherever is comfortable for the neck, maybe in between the hands or maybe straight ahead. And we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower all the way to the mat. And pause for just a moment. We'll do wheel one more time. Again, you can do your bridge pose or maybe try wheel for a second, whatever feels comfortable in your body. Heels come in towards the sit bones. Hands are by the ears, fingertips are towards the shoulders. You're actively drawing those elbows in once again. Thighs are already drawing together. Glue that low back to the mat already because that will get you in a posterior tilt, which will feel better in the pose. And when you're ready, on your next inhale, press into the mat. Get the crown of your head on the mat. Next inhale, press again and come all the way up. And holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale, release all the way to the mat. Knees come together, feet are mat's distance apart. Taking a few moments here. And when you're ready, draw the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a nice big hug, maybe grabbing opposite wrist with opposite hand. On an exhale, release feet back to the mat. Again, finding mat's distance, and now windshield wipering from side to side. Going as fast or as slow as feels good in your body. And when you're ready, come back through to center and assist yourself into a seated position. Draw the right foot in towards the left thigh. Angle the torso towards that left foot. Toes are drawing back. On an inhale, arms come up overhead, and on an exhale, forward fold, hinging from the hips. I'm currently fighting with a spider web, so if you're watching this, I'm sorry. Just a few more breaths here. And when you're ready, come all the way up. Extend right to meet the left. Give yourself a little wiggle, little shake. And then left foot draws into right thigh. Nice long spine. Toes are drawing back towards the face. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Come all the way up. Left foot meets right. Give yourself another wiggle, another shake. And this time, finding about 90 degrees with the legs. Toes are actively drawing back towards their knees. On an inhale, nice long spine, fingertips up towards the ceiling, and on an exhale, forward fold. Come back up into center. Bring the legs together, back towards the front of the mat if they weren't already. Another quick core just to lower yourself down. So from here, lower yourself as slowly as you can. And draw the knees, the heels in towards the sit bones. Right ankle comes over left knee for reclined pigeon pose. On an inhale, left foot comes up off the mat. Hands can be behind the thigh or interlaced around the shin, whichever feels more comfortable in your body. Flexing all 10 toes back towards their respective knees. And on an exhale, release. Right meets the left. This time left ankle over right knee. Draw that right knee in towards the chest, and hands can be interlaced behind the thigh or around the shin. Release both feet to the mat and extend them out long. Take a full body stretch, arms out overhead. And when you're ready, right knee comes in towards the chest, left leg stays out long. Left fingertips draw right knee over to the left. Gaze comes out over the right shoulder. Inhale back through to center. Extend that right leg out long. Left knee comes in towards the chest. Give a nice big squeeze. And then right fingertips draw that knee over to the right, looking out over the left fingertips for a reclined twist. Inhale, come back through center. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Grab for the outsides of the feet and find a happy baby. You can rock from side to side. Maybe you're finding stillness in this position. If you really feel like your sit bones are coming high up off the mat, maybe you need to grab a little lower and onto the shins. Just try and give yourself a nice low back massage in this pose if you can. And when you're ready, knees come into the chest for the last big squeeze, bringing the nose in towards the knees, making it the biggest hug yet. And on your next exhale, release everything for corpse pose, Shavasana. Legs are about mat's distance or whatever feels comfortable in your body. Arms are open at the sides. Take one last deep breath in through the nose with me. Hold it at the top. And exhale it completely through the mouth. Find your natural breathing in this position. And if you haven't already, maybe set your intentions for the rest of the day or the rest of this week. this position for as long as you like. Otherwise, feel free to join me in the closing, bringing the knees in towards the chest, rolling off to whichever side is more comfortable into a fetal position, using your bicep as a pillow. Allowing the last minutes that you've spent during this practice to really sink in. When you're ready, assist yourself to a seated position. Eyes can be closed or a soft gaze towards the floor. Hands coming to heart center. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you.